some of the best sushi restaurants in the world. You're eating fish that maybe was caught a week ago, but handled with a lot of discipline.
This is awesome. You know, this is what I want to do with my life.
Guys, I'm here today with my good friend Matt. Today, Matt and I are gonna show you how to break down tuna properly. Explain to you all the different cuts, where his knife is going, different sections he's gonna get out of it. Hopefully this is gonna be the only tuna video that you need. I'm Josh Adamo. I'm a professional chef and I've worked for some of the best chefs in the world. I'm pairing up with other professional chefs to peel back the curtain and show you guys how to cook at home at a professional level. All right, so Matt, why don't you tell me what we're doing with this fish right now?
Today we are breaking down a bluefin tuna. This is actually a Spanish bluefin tuna, roughly about 300 to 400 pounds, all right?
Damn.
So this is gonna be the belly loin of the tuna. So each tuna would have 4 different sections, right? If you're looking at it from a torpedo, if you make a cross in between, this is going to be the bottom left side, right? Over here would be the Otoro part, would be obviously the fattiest part of the bluefin tuna. Over here would be the Chutoro, which is every chef's favorite. And up here would be the Akami, which is closest to the bone, hence why the meat is a lot more redder and more vibrant.
The bloodline.
Yes, sir.
How are we gonna attack this thing?
All right, so first things first, I always like to train my chefs to really just pay attention to where you put in your knife, right? So we're gonna make sure that 4 fingers across is always a great line because that's the size of the tuna that we're gonna go for as far as the nigiris, right? So the first cut will be the Akami part. This will be the Akami part right here.
So from the belly, 4 fingers, so like 4 inches?
Yeah, pretty much.
From the bottom?
Yeah, from the bottom.
Straight across?
Straight across.
Gotcha.
Straight across, because basically whenever you are stripping down the line, it would be a perfect 4 fingers.
Straight cut down.
Exactly.
Got it.
Perfect saku, all right?
Got it.
Over here would be the bloodline. We keep the bloodline off, especially because when we dry age our fish, the bloodline acts as a protection layer.
Yeah.
Right. And you will also see that the longer the dry aging goes, they will actually have a small bark on the outside of the protein. And basically what that is, it just dries it out, and we lose a little bit of yield from that, but it actually makes for a better end product.
And what happens to the fish when you dry age it?
Basically, dry aging is similar to dry aging beef, right? So you're breaking down enzymes, you know, you're pulling out fat, you're extracting moisture, and basically you're concentrating flavor. It makes for a better mouthfeel, buttery, and just really
100%.
luxurious.
And
Yeah.
people, I think the common misconception people make with fish is like they think fresh is best. They think
Yes.
like you want to eat it the same day that it comes out of the sea, but
Right,
when
right.
you're talking about big cuts of fish like this, people don't understand that. Like some of the best sushi restaurants in the world, you're eating fish that maybe was caught a week ago,
Yes.
but handled with a lot of discipline.
So fresh is pretty much boring, as you would say, right?
Right.
Aging anything would make, you know, natural flavors come out and make all the natural umami and the essence come out. So it's
But
wonderful.
it is worth mentioning, like aged properly, aged with discipline, and aged with an understanding of what you need to take out of the fish before you age it, right? The blood out of the spine, the gills, the head,
right.
like knowing how to clean the fish properly. Otherwise that stuff will spoil and change the flavor of the meat, right?
Absolutely. We have a specific process that we use at the restaurant. Gills off, fins off, we take the heads off, we clean out the blood, and then we also dry it really nice so that when we get ready for the dry ager, there's not a lot of blood dripping from the bottom. You know what I'm saying?
Sick. Love it.
This is gonna be our second cut. We're just basically gonna divide this into sections, right?
Yep.
We're gonna take out the skin right here. So this will be your Chutoro, which would be your medium fatty.
Look at that, man.
Yeah.
That is so good.
Yeah, this is gonna be all fat right here. Closest to the bloodline will be a little bit more on the leaner side, right? And then this whole area right here would be like the crown jewel of the bluefin tuna, only because this is all belly part right here. Literally, this is literally all belly part.
Creme de la creme, huh?
The creme de la creme. I mean, if you go to a sushi restaurant and you see something like this, more than likely you're in a good spot.
So you're taking this off the skin, you're dividing it into sections.
Correct.
Probably cutting it down maybe like one size down, right? Strips. And then what are you wrapping it with?
So actually,
how do you store it?
We store it basically in our cooler. We like to put paper around it, and there's a bluefin tuna paper which we use. It's a little bit more stronger, a little bit more durable, and it catches a lot of the blood faster, right?
Okay, cool.
And we usually use that whenever we have a lot of fresh bluefin tuna that comes in, because the fresh bluefin tuna really has a lot of blood. When we dry age, usually comes prepared really nicely. Rule of thumb is I always like to measure with my thumb right here, straight down.
Guys, I'll mention the link in the description if you want to buy that paper, that fish paper, all right?
Oh yeah. Straight down.
Look at that, dude. That is insane.
Oh yeah. It looks like a little Wagyu, doesn't it? Huh?
Oh my God, bro.
So that's gonna be the Otoro part. We'll get you guys a Chutoro part, and you guys can see the difference in grades, all right? Just trim a little bit of this off. This is gonna be a little bit of the rib cage right here. Yeah, usually you see all that meat right there. We'll
scrape it off.
We'll scrape it off and we'll get it ready.
Crispy rice?
Crispy rices, hand rolls, you know, we try to use every single piece.
Love that.
Sure.
As a professional chef, what would you say your highest moment is that you've had in your career, and also your lowest moment that you've had in your career?
I would say my highest moment in my career was achieving the goal that I can open my own restaurant.
It's a good goal.
Obviously, every chef has that dream of like owning their own restaurant, running their own show, creating their own food. But to be able to put that into fruition with the hard work and the grit that everybody else understands is just the greatest feeling in the world. Lowest part of my career, I would say, was my first day of working. I was first time ever making sushi, ever touching anything in life. I was 17 years old, still in high school, still a senior in high school, and I was working at this sushi restaurant in Frisco, Texas. The owner said, man, my grandma could roll faster than you.
Dude, I got told the same thing with pasta.
Yeah, man, I'm like, I like that.
High five.
Yeah, man, this is awesome. You know, this is what I want to do with my life, because he just tried to tell me something crazy. I had to prove him wrong, you know, so
love it.
That was probably my lowest, but it made me to who I am today, and
it's fuel.
I'm super grateful and much gratitude towards everything. So yeah, this is your Otoro, this is your Chutoro. As you can see, you have the pink more on the outer edge, and then towards the middle, more of the redder part.
Yep.
That's how you can tell, right?
Color starts to change.
Oh yeah. Now with this is going to be our Akami. Akami is going to be the leanest part of the bluefin tuna, guys.
Do you do anything with the bloodline after when you remove it?
No, we kind of just get rid of it because it really doesn't have a good taste. Now, I would say that people in Japan usually save it and you can eat it, but you know, as Americans, it's really bad.
How do they eat it in Japan normally?
They'll cook it. They'll cook it down with a little soy sauce. I know one of my chefs, when I was working with him a long time ago, he kind of made like a caramelized bluefin tuna bloodline, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it probably wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but it made me realize that these guys are serious. You know, these guys are, you know, amazing at what they do, and they also do not waste
anything. Yeah.
Anything whatsoever. And basically, I am just trimming it off right here to where you have one nice, beautiful piece of Akami right there. So there you have your Akami, your Chutoro, and then your two pieces of Otoro. All three different cuts coming from one fish.
Damn, son. What application would you use for each thing? What's this the best for? What's this the best for? What's that the best for?
So basically, well, in sushi cooking, I would say these three pieces would be, I guess you could say, the creme de la creme of sushi pieces, right? So like towards an omakase, if you guys are enjoying omakase, the tuna would probably be at the end, right? The Akami is really great because it has a lot of flavor, closest to the bone, a lot of flavor, a lot of natural umami. Not really much you have to do to it. You can make this into crudos. I've seen people do nigiris, hand rolls. Is wonderful. Chutoro would be the best of both worlds, right? So you would get the luxurious fattiness, and then you also get the half of the leanness. This is wonderful for nigiri cuts. This is also wonderful for sashimi cuts. And I've seen a lot of people cook this down as a steak sometimes, and it's just wonderful. Super nice, little nice sear on the outside to have it raw on the inside to create like a little tataki. It's wonderful.
I love that.
Yeah, Otoro, I mean, I think it's very self-explanatory, like the fattiest of the fattiest, the wagyu of the sea. If you're talking about, you know, butteriness, this is wonderful. You can have this in nigiris. A lot of people love this as sashimis. It's wonderful.
This is amazing. Having high quality fish like this just makes such a difference. And then what I love so much about Japanese cooking is like, it's really simple. It's like Italian cooking in a way where they focus on the ingredient and they don't do much to it. And they have a lot of restraint. They're not trying to dazzle you with technique or things. You know, a lot of people just throw things on stuff just to try to make it look fancy. Japanese is so not that, which is what I appreciate. The time and the skill it takes them to learn how to do this stuff. You know, how long they take to wash rice before they're allowed to touch fish. So Matt, do you have any advice to a home cook or a chef in a restaurant that wants to learn about Japanese food or cook Japanese food at home?
Practice, practice, practice. I've been a chef since I was 17 years old, and I've been practicing every single day relentlessly, just getting better at that 1%, better and better every single day. I think you gotta have a clear mindset of, you know, what you wanna do and how you wanna do things, and it's really good to have a really good solid team behind you too. So all of those things combined together makes me for who I am today. So
awesome, dude. I
Yeah,
love
man.
that. That's great advice.
Of course.
Now, Matt's opening up a new restaurant, all right, with his partner Malachi, good friend of mine, Malachi Dupre. They're opening up a restaurant here in Metairie, Louisiana. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So we're opening up our newest location will be on Metairie Road, 2929 Metairie Road in Metairie, Louisiana. This is going to be our sister restaurant, and we're excited to have you guys.
You got to check it out. Matt's serious. He knows how to cook. I can't wait to go try. Matt's throwing a little party, going there on a Friday, gonna drink some sake, gonna listen to some music.
Oh yeah, can't wait to see you, brother.
Matt, it's always a pleasure having you on.
man.
Thank you. This looks amazing. You're leaving all this fish with me, right?
Yeah, it's all yours, brother.
Perfect. Thank you. Guys, if you want more Pro Chef collabs, if you like this video, if you like seeing things broken down like this and explained, please let me know in the comments so I know to do more. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, follow for more, and I love you guys. So does Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, you, brother.
All right, buddy.